Welcome back. Today on the go we have a game called A Cottage Story, which is a little like cottage core dating sim visual novel type game, which is made by one person, which is neat. It's still in the demo stage, but I'm gonna hop in and play what there is, and we go from there. Alrighty. I'm hoping I'm in my face cam's in a good spot, I hope. So, anyway, I'm just gonna hit start and we go from there. Okay, I'm gonna go with this one. I might have a cat jumping on my lap in a second. So going from there. Alrighty. And hit enter. Got it. I'm gonna go she, her. Example, I'm looking for a key. Did you see her? I last saw her picking weeds by the river brook. Is this right? This can't be changed later. Yeah. Extended demo of A Cottage Story, which now includes the beginning of Act 2. Would you like to skip to Act 2? No. Considering I haven't even played Act 1 yet, so. Man. I never should have taken the forest as a detour. First my date, then my car. What else could go wrong today? Whoa. Oh, where did that ledge come from? The forest is so dense, I can't see anything. Ow, my arm. This is bad, I can't get up. With some effort, the man opens his eyes and tries to crawl. He grips his right arm, and his fingers come up wet. When his vision adjusts, he sees red. Fudge. Sorry, I don't swear, that's not my thing. Has that always been there? There is a cottage just across from the man. It's surrounded by flowers and flora, like something out of a dream. Smokestacks billow from the chimney. It's so well tended to, it's uncanny. It reminds the man of his grandmother's house. If his grandma decided to live 10 miles into uncharted woods. The man rises to his feet by using a boulder to leverage himself, but there's a noticeable limp in his gait. Oh my god, I really need to slow down. Ooh, hi, bear. I was right about the cat jumping up on me. Oh, he's lucky. He's cute. Looking around, he walks closer with his good arm, waving in front of him to make sure this isn't a fatigue-induced delusion. A pleasant aroma, like a meadow of flowers, emanates from the cottage. It beckons the man. He can't read anything on the signs. There are symbols he's never seen before, and he hopes he isn't trespassing. How is it possible that this is here? It's too good to be true, but it's not like he has other options. Investigate the cottage, knock on the door, or try the handle. Well, let's knock on the door. The man approaches the door and gives a few weak knocks. Footsteps pitter-patter from the other side, and suddenly the door opens. No nipping. Hello, how can I help you? Hey, it's me. I just said no nibby, because he gets bitey. When he licks, he, like, nibbles. You gonna get comfy? Oh, there you go. The man is surprised a real person came to the door. Her face is hard to read in a way the man can't describe. Is this your cottage? Can you help me? Please, my arm. Key scans him up and down, then after a moment she nods her head and gestures for him to enter. Upon entering, the man notices medicine cabinets lining the walls, along with various jars and bottles filled with herbs. There's something bubbling on the stove, but the fire isn't on. On the counter is what appears to be a miniature table set with chairs. Perhaps the woman collected miniature furniture? The man sinks into the couch, taking caution not to stress his wounded arm. The fragrant smell is even stronger now, and it helps to calm his nerves. He's beginning... Can't talk. He's beginning to regret his forest trek. He didn't have any supplies, and the deeper he went, it was as though he lost all sense of direction. The woman returns with a bucket and cloth to dress the wound. Thank you. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't been here. Is there a town nearby? My car broke down in the middle of the highway. No, we are alone here. This forest is dangerous for you to traverse. I'd advise you come back the way you came. This was a half-truth. If the man continued east past the river brook, he would eventually encounter a small farm town, but not before trespassing goblin territory. The man looks down helplessly at his limp arm. I know that now. I'm not in any shape to turn back. Can I please stay here for a night? I can pay you. No! You little brat. Keep your mouth off of the headphones. Ah, there we go. Stay here for a night and I can pay you. Got it. I don't need any payment. Regardless, you're welcome to stay if you'd like. Brat cats. The man lets out a sigh of relief. It saves him the attempt of trying to survive out in the wilderness alone. I promise I'll be out of your hair by morning. Key loops the cloth around the man a final time and finishes dressing the wound. She stands up. Key eyes the man, ushering him to follow her. They enter a room off to the right of the cottage, and the low ceiling immediately feels claustrophobic. This is the bathroom. At first, the words don't register in the man's mind. His face crumples in confusion. The toilet is merely a hole carved onto a rectangular box connected to the wall. This is an outhouse. Is there a place to wash up? There's a bucket for water and soap. Key points to said objects located in the corner of the room. And there's a drain denoting that the whole bathroom is the shower. Scratching the back of his head, the man doesn't say anything out of courtesy. After all, this was a cottage in the middle of nowhere. Beggars can't be choosers. I hear the dog. Before the man can ask any more questions, Key has already exited the room. She turns into a narrow corner through the left wall. When the man catches up, he sees two beds, side by side each other. The one furthest from the door appears queen-sized, while the other twin-sized. This is the bedroom. You can stay here in the meantime. Key gestures to the twin-sized bed. This is where I sleep since this is the only bedroom. I hope that privacy isn't a problem. No, it should be fine. I have nothing to hide. You must be tired. Please rest up well. I'll make some tea while you settle in. Do you like Earl Grey? Yeah, that would be nice. The man sits on the edge of the bed. He couldn't believe his luck finding such a kind-hearted person. You can hear Key making tea from the other room. It smells nice, and the man is tempted not to walk over to check on the tea right then and there. Not long after, Key returns and sets the tea set down by the table next to him. It didn't occur to him until now, but why is someone so young and living all alone in a dangerous forest? Oh, I almost poked you, sorry. He studies her face. It's quaint, just like the cottage. Her eyes are large and face amazingly symmetrical. Helplessly, it occurs to him that this person is really attractive. Suddenly, Key places a hand to the man's forehead. You feel a bit hot. Maybe you should lie down. The man feels his face heat up and he recoils from Key's hand. Yeah, I'm hot. I mean, you're hot. Crap, I think I need a rest. I must have hit my head on the fall. That's not what I meant, but if you feel a fever coming on, let me know right away. For now, I'll give you some privacy. Key leaves the bedroom. Once alone, the man briefly closes his eyes and lets out a sigh. What the hell am I doing? I will say hell, though. He reaches for the teacup and sips the Earl Grey. It calms his mind and it tastes exactly as Earl Grey should. The man isn't sure if it tastes good because it is good or if its terrible circumstances made it tastier by comparison. After drinking his fill, the man shuffles into bed and drifts off to sleep. Oh, I think I'm in a good spot. I haven't actually looked. When the man wakes up and the bed beside him is empty, he rolls off and immediately every muscle in his body betrays him. Oh yeah, I'm in a good spot. Ouch, darn it, this is what I get for falling off a ledge. There's a pleasant smell, I can't talk, coming from the kitchen. The man walks towards Key, looming over her short but stocky frame. He sees that she's pan-frying mushrooms and scrambled eggs over the stove. 2 plates already have biscuits and jam on them. Oh, that actually sounds really good. That smells so good. Can I bring these plates over? Key swats his hand away like a mother to an eager child. No, sit down. Don't worry about it. Okay. Awkwardly, the man goes to sit down on the couch in the living room. The coffee table already has glasses of water, so he idly drinks. Key joins him in the rocking chair across from him and sets down the plates. The two sit in silence until the man finishes the last of his biscuit. How are you feeling? There he goes. Everything's sore, but I'm not dying. I think I'll be okay, but I've been wondering for a while now. When I opened my phone, the GPS didn't work. It's really weird. How am I supposed to find my way back like this? Phone? How would that help you back? For the first time, the man notices an unused rotary phone sitting on a coffee table behind Key, and he considers that he may have actually been transported back in time. Never mind. I'm still really sore. Is it okay if I stay here a little longer, actually? Key frowns. Her face is contemplative, which causes the man to fidget nervously. Did he overstay his welcome? It's fine, but let me check on your injuries. Key moves to sit beside the man. She carefully grabs his arm to check the cloth that was tied the day before and begins to replace it. A bucket of clean towels had replaced the bloody ones from the night before. Key is already grabbing for a fresh cloth that she had prepared. By the way, I don't think I ever got your name. My name is Key. Key Nalon. I'm an apothecary. Man, an apothecary? You don't see those anymore. I'm Michael. Nice to meet you. Likewise, if you continue north of the cottage, that should be the way out of Rossenward. Any other direction leads deeper into the forest, and I fear that is unsafe for you. That's really cryptic. What's out there? Pausing for a sec, because the cat wants to play, so I'm going to grab his little toy. Oh. There you go. Alright, we're back. That's really cryptic. What's out there? Just foxes and bears. Generally, they stay away from humans, but one can never be too careful. Oh, haha, of course, that makes sense. Do you live alone in this cottage? Must be tough for one person. It's not bad. This is home. As the conversation continues, Michael finds himself getting lost in Key's earnest amber eyes. It hurts him to imagine that she's living all alone in such a dangerous place. He brushes his wounded arm against Key's. If I'm ever in a pinch, do you think I could see you again? Next time I'll be more prepared, and I could even show you what it's like outside of this place. You're free to visit me again if you're hurt, but I'm well acquainted with Rossenward Forest. No, I mean outside of this forest. I think there's a whole world you're missing out on. Now Michael's holding Key's hand with his good hand. There's a peculiar gleam in his eye. It's a shame that a beauty such as yourself is holed up in the middle of nowhere. I would like to be in the middle of nowhere. That's kind of you. I can't leave. I mean, I shouldn't. Nervously, Key attempts to pull away from Michael, but the reddening of her face tells Michael a different story. The man pulls forward with his lips puckered. Key can feel her words recede into her stomach. Why is it so hard to speak all of a sudden? One moment. Michael rests his hand on Key's shoulder and pulls her closer. Key's heart hammers dreadfully against her ribcage. Just before Michael and Key's lips meet, the front door swings open. Key, I got the dried hemlock that you needed. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Get your filthy hands off of her! I love the way the music kicked in. Both Key and Michael freeze at the sight of the goblin. The creature brandishes a machete, dull red with use, and throws it at Michael's head. Michael manages to just barely dodge the machete as it crashes into a lamp, but not before the goblin pulls out a dagger and pins him to the wall by his shirt. This poor guy. The car broke down, he fell off a ledge, and now he's at risk of being killed by a goblin. The goblin is just shy of 4 feet, but that doesn't stop him from cowering in fear. Is this a robbery? The hell are you doing here, punk? I got lost, and so I need somewhere to stay. Bull crap, I saw you getting handsy back there. If you've got a eulogy, hand it over. Key quickly intervenes by sandwiching herself between the two. Klafka, stop. He's telling the truth. You're scaring him. The apothecary removes the dagger pinned to Michael's shirt, and the man's fight or flight instinct finally kicks in. He bolts from the seam through the door that Klafka kicked open. Hey, come back here. I'm not done with you yet. Klafka and Key briefly chase after Michael, but he's already disappeared into the horizon. Darn, how do you run off so fast? Are you okay? I swear if that human hurt you, I'll rip his spine from his. No, I'm okay, Klafka. He was a guest. If anything, Key had hoped that event didn't permanently traumatize Michael. Some of his belongings were still in the living room. He looked really suspicious, though, and you looked scared. I was just surprised because he suddenly... Key gets embarrassed thinking about the moment and can't bring herself to say it out loud. He was flirting with me. Oh. What a coward. If he really liked you, he would have stayed and defended you. Klafka, you had knives. Yeah, and I would have kicked his rear end. My statement still stands, though. Yeah, as you can see, I've switched my drink cup because this has a screw lid on it and my other one didn't. So now if it accidentally gets knocked over, the lid isn't going to go flying. Key walks back into her cottage and makes a beeline for the broken lamp. An overturned table Klafka follows, shortly after shutting the door behind her. I'm really bad at filling my periods. He was the first human to stumble here in years. I can't believe that happened. You can't believe he fell in love with you? It reminds me of the Florence Nightingale effect, but reversed. Klafka helps her move the table back into place and grabs for a dustpan and broom. Do you expect me to know what that is? And sorry about the lamp. I was using it anyway. Florence Nightingale was a human who looked after soldiers during wars in England. It was said that she cared so deeply about her patients that she started falling in love with them. None of it is true, though. It only looked that way because of how closely she worked with them. That's so stupid. It must be a pain to deal with all the time. Only once in a while. Have you ever actually fallen in love with any of your patients? Of course not. That'd be awkward. Once the lamp shards have been cleaned up, the living room finally starts to regain some of its former glory. And not like someone had just started a knife fight in there. This is par for the course when it comes to Klafka. Key has known her ever since they were young. Although more level-headed than most goblins, Klafka has always stuck her neck out for Key, and she would do the same, but Klafka had a tendency of jumping to conclusions at the sight of any injustice or peril. She's the next closest person in Key's life after her godmother, Catriona, had passed away. Klafka moves a little stool over so that she can reach the counter and pulls out the dried hemlock from earlier. Where's the mortar? This hemlock's not gonna crush itself. It's right in front of you next to the fairy beds. Klafka briefly searches the counter before spotting the mortar next to all the miniature furniture. There's too many lights in your den, it makes everything hard to see. Well, this isn't a goblin hole. Key makes a mental note to herself to dim the lights for Klafka whenever she's over. The cottage has always been like a second home to Klafka, despite the two having a tendency to butt heads. Key sighs. What a day. Rossenward Forest, hidden away from the eyes of humans in modern society, lives an integrated community of creatures only uttered in folklore and fairy tale. Only a handful of people know their strange existence, much less interact with them. Okay, I'm not blocking it. Good. But once upon a time, a human named Catriona Nalon took residence in Rossenward. She built a small cottage by hand where she resided for the rest of her days. Her cottage was as much part of the magical entity making up Rossenward, as the creatures, and she would be frequently visited by them. At first, they toyed with her, stealing firewood and flowers from her garden, but they soon found that the woman had other talents. Catriona was a gifted apothecary who worked with fauna and flora. explanation for her departure from the human world. She helped those around her without discrimination and earned the respect of even these mysterious creatures. One day she found a baby floating along the river brook, battered but miraculously alive. When she rescued the baby, it spoke to her perfectly in the common tongue, enunciating its words like an adult, but with the squealing voice of an infant. Impressed, she took the baby and raised him as one of her own. Whew. Oh, it's because I saw that open. Whoopsies. Sorry, my phone was going off. Baby raised him as one of her own. Days turned to years, and the child became apprenticed to Catriona. They learned and mimicked everything that she taught them. Even after Catriona's passing, the cottage remains maintained by her one and only apprentice. Her name is Key. The foxgloves should quell your heart palpitations and other heart-related problems. However, the valerian roots are purely supplemental. If you steep them in hot water, it makes for a soothing tea. I would recommend you avoid alcohol. It'll only worsen your heart problems. Thank you, Key. I darn near thought I died this morning, but this puts me at ease. The elderly gnome slurs his words as he's missing about half his teeth, but the sentiment holds. He hands Key a snack that he prepared in exchange. Key peeks inside out of curiosity. These mushrooms look delicious. I'm sure they'll go great with stew. Aye, my pleasure. They're the biggest I could get my hands on. Another happy client marks the end of morning. Most of the creatures living in Rossenward operated early in the day, which were the apothecary's busiest hours. Now that Key has some downtime, she begins cleaning up around the house. She picks up a large laundry rack and walks it through the back door. The night before, it started pouring all of a sudden and drenched all of Key's fresh laundry. Now it's sunny as a summer day without a single cloud in the sky. That's spring for you. After returning to the living room, Key dusts all the cabinets and tables with a feather duster, cleans all the dirty dishes left from breakfast, and then reorganizes the medicine cabinet. This was routine. Even when Catriona was alive, this was only a few of Key's duties, but she never once found tiring. In fact, Key felt lost without the routine. Without the set schedule. Routine works too. As she checks each labeled jar and can, she notices that she's low on feverfew. One of her regulars always comes in for feverfew, since they suffer from chronic migraines, so it's not an option for her to be low on this medication. Key would have to go on a quick foraging trip. Fortunately, feverfew are perennial, meaning they grow year-round. Key finds it hard to imagine what chronic migraines might feel like without reprieve. The regular described it as a jackhammering to the head for hours on end. One time, Key accidentally hammered her thumb trying to build a cabinet, and the pain was already unbearable. She should be glad growing up she was always reminded of her good health, and the only treatment she would see was for small injuries and bruises. Feverfew grows just east of the cottage. The trees are scattered more sparsely, so the meadows see more sun. Wildflowers grow in every nook and cranny, but Key realizes she's not alone. A familiar mushroom-topped goblin's bent over a small patch that's been picked clean. Klafka! Hey, what's up, Key? What are you doing here? I noticed that you were low on feverfew, so I thought I'd pick some for you. Picked is putting it lightly. Looks like Klafka unearthed the entire ground, exposing the naked dirt. How did she do that with her bare hands? Klafka herself looks as though she transformed into a plant holder. Her coat is filled to the brim with flowers, and all the stems and leaves are poking out. That's thoughtful of you to do this for me. Klafka, I think these are chamomiles. What do you mean? Chamomiles look similar to feverfew. If you look at the stem, they're too thin. It's all bent and bruised. Usually feverfew is tougher than this. Crap, we can put these back, right? That's not how plants work. It's okay, I won't let them go to waste. With this much chamomile, I should be stocked for months. Then let me help. You prepare it. Don't even think about trying to do all the work. I know how you are. I remember when Catriona taught us how to tell them apart. She'd always say, if it's firm and tough, it's feverfew, but cut short and cute, it's chamomile. Yeah, and then she let us eat some of the chamomile when we found it. I always saw her having it with her salad, but doesn't taste very good. It's much better as tea. Yeah, chamomile tea is my sick tea. I usually have it when I'm not feeling the best. I wish I paid more attention back then. I was just in it for the free food, but I never thought that she would pass so suddenly. Me too, I really miss her. I miss her too. I'm glad that you're always helping me out, Klafka. It's less lonely this way. Yeah, then I guess we'll keep at it. The two searched different parts of the meadow. Klafka had insisted that she needed to be able to find the feverfew without Key's help, so she left her to her own devices. It doesn't take long for Key to find the real feverfew growing in a hedge with the little white flowers and bundles. But as she bends down to grab the plant's base, she hears a hiss. A snake? Why is there a snake here? Shoot, go away! Key steps back, but the snake slithers closer to her. She grabs for a nearby stick and attempts to wrench the snake away from the flowers, but it's like trying to drink soup with a fork. The snake keeps getting closer with each failed attempt, and out of desperation, Key knocks the snake into the air with her stick. Key, I think I found some. The snake is headed straight for Klafka. Move that a little closer. Watch out! Without flinching, Klafka grabs the writhing noodle mid-air. It hisses and nips at Klafka, but she hisses back until the snake falls silent. She tosses the creature aside. I don't think it'll be bothering us anymore. Thank goodness you're here. Looks like it was guarding the patch over there. If you come across any other pests, just point me in their direction. I guess we work better as a team. You're like a personal bodyguard. Klafka flips out her knife and does a cool knife trick. She puts on an extra tough and menacing face. If anyone even looks in your direction, I'll cripple them. Is that how it goes? That's perfect. He offers Klafka her basket, and they put together their combined findings. Maybe while we're out here, I can teach you how to kill snakes and rats. I think I'll have to pass. You sure? It's not as hard as it looks. Most pests are weaklings. Killing makes me uncomfortable. I don't have claws either, so it'd probably be harder for me. That's true. Teaching you how to wield a dagger might be easier. You're already pretty good at cutting stuff up. You mean cooking? Yeah, like when you're cutting cucumbers really fast and it looks like you're gonna cut your hand, but you don't. That's how you want to use a knife in a fight. He thought about it for a moment. She supposes she could benefit from some self-defense. After all, it'd be bad to keep relying on Klafka. I might take you up on that. The two are bent over collecting more feverfew. Once they finish plucking the patch, they strain and stretch under the cool morning light. This should be enough. It's awfully nice out today. Then we should take a walk. It's bad to keep yourself holed up in the house all day. What if a client comes by while I'm out? They can come back later. You should think about yourself first sometimes. There's a path that's been worn into the ground from the meadow into the forest. It's likely that Katrina herself had developed it over years of walking the same routes over and over again in Rossenward, whatever. After all, only humans would leave such an obvious mark of civilization. Hey, these look good, don't they? We could get some for the festival coming up. Klafka points to a sprawling walnut tree among the plethora of elms and ash. He nods her head. The residents of Rossenward love to find any reason to celebrate, drink, and be merry, and the spring festival is no different. It's similar to a community potluck. Klafka scales the enormous tree before her and picks the nuts off the tree one by one. She drops them as Key swerves her body to try and catch the falling nuts into her basket. When the basket is filled evenly with both the feverfew and nuts, Klafka leaps back down, landing on all fours. They take a circular route around the forest back to Key's cottage. On their way back, the two come across an open clearing marked by golden rays of light. There's a distant flute playing which is a signature instrument of the satyrs. As they approach, they can see the silhouettes of several creatures. One satyr is playing on a pan flute, while the other is dancing. Wild animals slowly join in the procession, with a deer curiously inching closer to the satyr playing the flute. I hope I'm saying that right. Squirrels descend from their trees and frogs croak in tune to the flute playing. The dancing satyr recognizes Key and smells. Key gets closer and chooses to pet the deer or feed the animals. Let's feed them. Is it just me or are the squirrels eyeing my basket? Animals only really want one thing, huh? Key bends down and sprinkles some notes on the ground. She watches as the squirrels strategically break open the walnut and nibble at the insides. Some feet away, she notices other squirrels lounging around with their stomachs flat on the forest floor. 2 squirrels chase each other, and one hides behind Key's feet. I'm no different than a tree to these guys. Key is about to feed a crushed walnut to the deer when it's suddenly taken from her hand. The dancing satyr chuckles as he stuffs the walnut into his face. He suddenly leans in, close enough for Key to see his lip pupils and dark brown eyes. Hello, Key. Mind if I have some? Key swiftly inserts the whole walnut between the satyr's teeth as he gives a muffled yelp. Consider personal space first. The satyr removes the walnut from his mouth and breaks it normally with a smile. You're a feisty one. Here, I'm further away. I betcha I can catch any walnut you throw at me without my hands. Key smirks and tosses a walnut in his direction. Impressively, the satyr bends forward and balances it on the bridge of his nose before letting it fall into his hands. I really need to work on, slowing down. Whew. Too easy, come on. I've trained my whole life for this. Key furrows her eyebrows and throws the next walnut in a high arc, so it's hard to tell where it'll land. The satyr eyes the walnut, carefully moving side to side to match the trajectory. Like a dog catching a frisbee, he catches the walnut between his teeth. Ta-da! Even the satyr playing on the pan flute pauses for a moment to commend his friend. Key offers a polite applause. Klafka stands far away from the commotion, hidden by the brush. Goblins are a natural enemy to animals of prey, so she probably stepped back to let Key have her fun. It'd be better not to leave Klafka waiting. I hope you weren't bored out here. I wasn't bored. I managed to catch some fat ones. Klafka pulls her hand out from inside her coat and reveals a frog between her fingers, which, as advertised, is very fat. What a nice frog. The fat ones are the most tender when roasted. I wish you hadn't told me that. Hey, don't knock it till you try it. Don't you know why goblins are such a nice green color? I thought it was to adapt to the forest environment, not because of how many frogs you ate. Not to mention frogs are red on the inside. They aren't like carrots, where if you eat enough, you actually turn a bit orange. You can turn orange if you eat enough carrots? Weren't you just talking about eating frogs? Yeah, but I could become the only orange goblin in existence. That would be so cool. It'll mix with the green. It might be closer to a brownish puke color. I could become the only brownish puke-colored goblin in existence. Suddenly, Klafka stops. She has a look on her face that means she either heard something dangerous or saw something shiny, and therefore extremely intriguing. Klafka bends down and rummages through dead leaves and dirt. He expects Klafka to pick up a particularly glossy stone or rock. It's popular nowadays for goblins to line their den floor with shiny rocks the same way someone might refurbish their countertops to have a marble finish. When she stands back up, the gleam from the object is enough to catch even Key's attention. It's a ring! Why would anybody have such an ornate-looking ring in Rossenward? Key wonders if Michael had lost it while he ventured deep into the woods, but it's unlikely that he wandered so deep. Klafka puts the ring up to her finger, but it's obvious it's not going to fit. Nonchalantly, she reaches over and grabs Key's hand to try the ring on each of her fingers. Aha! Perfect fit! Are you proposing to me? Klafka stares blankly at Key. Suddenly, she whips her hands away from her. Huh? What? No, I mean, why would I? It was a joke. You know how humans propose? Sorry, I thought you would get it. Oh, yeah, I knew that. It's supposed to go on the ring finger anyway, so this wouldn't work. The ring is on Key's pinky finger, but it can't go past the first joint. She takes it off and returns it to Klafka. It looks valuable and it's still in good condition. Someone must have lost it recently. Or it got washed up by the river and landed here. I doubt they'll be needing it anymore. Klafka pockets it into her coat, which is immediately followed by an upset croak. Whoa, wrong pocket. Klafka opens her coat to reveal lines of hidden pockets where she securely places the ring. She readjusts her coat. It's safer here anyway. The two friends continue to walk and talk while pushing past tall stalks of grass. Up ahead, Key could see the front of her cottage and yard. I should probably check to see if my laundry is dry yet. Your stuff got rained on too? It was raining so hard yesterday that the water seeped into my den. I'm still waiting for it to dry. Yeah, it's better than having a dry season, though. Klafka nods her head with a knowing expression. Better to be flooded than starving. By the way, I'm sorry for getting the wrong plan earlier. I probably wasted your time. What do you mean? I had lots of fun today. I thought I was just going to pick up some fever for you and then do some chores, but I'm glad I got to walk with you instead. Really? Key gestures to a basket filled to the brim with the day's bounty. Who's going to help me prepare all this chamomile anyway? You're right, I almost forgot. I promised to help you cut him up. Key opens the door to let Klafka in. And they spend the rest of the day preparing more chamomile than a person would ever humanly need. If you want a diverse medicine, elderberry extract is good for fevers, colds, and headaches. It's great for families since it's an all-in-one medication. Children might not like the taste, though. Key holds a jar the size of a sunflower seed between her pointer finger and thumb. A pixie with purple hair and shimmering pink wings flutters close to the jar, inspecting it with her small fingers. This jar should be able to last you half a year. Oh, so pretty. How did you know this was what I was looking for? The little ones have been giving me sleepless nights, you know. The last thing I need to worry about is them getting sick one day. If that ever happens, let me know right away. I can prescribe a more specific medicine if you'd like. Oh, I know you can. You've never failed me before. You're such a bright kid. The pixie flies over and pinches Key's cheek. It feels like Key just got adopted again. Sorry, I'm playing with my cat, too. I've left some seeds on the counter for you. Maybe you can add it to the beautiful garden, to that beautiful garden of yours. Thank you. I'm sure they'll make a great addition. She's only dropped by the cottage a few times, but this pixie is always so nice. Key can already remember the flutter of her wings before she comes in, and the seeds she has are usually a flower that she has never seen before. Key opens the door for the pixie mother as she makes her way out. Do you mind if I bring the kids next time? I'm sure they would love to play in your garden, maybe even drink some nectar. I would love to meet them sometime. I hope to see you and your kids soon. Well, hopefully not too soon, seeing as this is an apothecary and all. Haha. But thank you for all your help, Key. I like the little ladybug up on the shelf. Key bristles at her own awkward statement and simply smiles and waves. That was real sick, Goldenrod. Key could recognize the only clothed satyr in Rossenward anywhere. Can you let me die on the inside in peace? Well, I was going to, but I actually dropped by to return these books. True to the satyr's words, he's carrying 3 books under his arms. Last week, he lent Rufus the Primrose Trials, which is about a human who's cursed to appear like a monster. In order to lift his curse, he needs to find another person to fall in love with him. He found the story to be rather contrived. Is it really so hard to fall in love with someone who looks different from you? Did you want to get new ones? Only if you're fine with it, man. With it. I should have paused there. Man, this series was a train wreck, huh? Tell me about it. At first, Rufus had just been a talkative neighbor and frequent visitor to Key's cottage, but after a few conversations, she realized Rufus was one of the only creatures in Rossenward who could read and write in the common tongue. Since then, he's been upgraded to a book buddy. Key joins Rufus by the coffee table with 2 sets of tea steeped with chamomile. On the table is a bowl of checkerboard biscuits prepared for guests. Chamomile, my favorite. Rufus suddenly fakes a shocked gasp. You didn't by chance know this and prepare it especially for me, did you, Amber Eyes? I'm so flattered. Who knew you could be this nice? Yeah, totally. You can have all the chamomile you want. Help yourself. Really? You can't find hospitality this nice at the nearest tavern. Rufus dips the biscuit into his tea and eats the dark squares before the light ones. So you've got any good recommendations? I never pegged you for the type to like cheesy romance, but I don't suppose you've got other genres? That's definitely not me. It was just a series I had lying around the house. Rufus just seemed like any other satyr, so Key had tried to pick a more dramatic title. Although in hindsight, it was probably wrong of her to generalize. What kind of book would Rufus like? Murder of the Cursed Halfling or Siren's Temptation? Maybe Cursed Halfling. I think you'll like this one. Rufus grabs the mahogany-colored book and gives it a once-over. Murder the Cursed Halfling, eh? It's even red like blood. He reads the summary. Zuin Muck never thought that he would be murdered, and his ghost cursed to haunt the detective who also instigated his murder. Can he expose his murderer's crimes and stop the detective from getting away with first-degree murder without a corporeal body? Read this thrilling saga to find out. That sounds unnecessarily complicated, but I can't say it didn't hook me in. I'll read almost anything, but do you actually read books like this? No, I just grabbed a random book. I guess I'm not good at recommending things aside from medicine. Well, is there a book that you like? A book I like? He brushes over several titles before settling for a couple of dense-looking books and stares at the well-worn covers. Fondly, she takes it out and shows it to Rufus. This is a great series if you want something more complex. It's in the form of an anthology, and it has everything. Drama, adventure, tragedy, and every story has a satisfying conclusion. They also tell each part from multiple perspectives, and it covers a lot of different settings too. I never get tired of reading these books. Rufus picks up one of the books and thumbs through its pages. The pages are twice as thin as a regular book, meaning there's at least 1,000 pages, and it smells twice as much like a book than a regular book. Wow, that sounds great and all, but isn't this just a botany textbook? After skimming the text, almost all the case studies start with the effects of eating certain herbs and the subsequent poisonings, which were more often than not fatal. Rufus assumes that would count as a tragedy. Is there something wrong with that? No, I guess we just have different ideas of what's a story and not. There's some big words here like aphananthus? What does that even mean? It's just referring to a plant that's not big or showy. It's not that hard. When I was younger, my godmother used to read this to me every night before I went to sleep. What the? How young are we talking here? I think it was probably 6. Man, you're making the rest of us look bad. When I was 6, I couldn't tell the difference between goats and actual satyrs. My mom had to convince me to stop talking to goats all the time. But goats can't respond. How did that even happen? They're better listeners than other satyrs. Okay, I'm still very good. The two sip their tea quietly. It seems to just be a difference in upbringing. Changelings are born with the knowledge of the fairies that made them so. Even as a baby, I knew how to walk and talk. My godmother told me that a fairy had replaced a human baby with me. And when the human parents found out, they tried to drown me in the river. It must have been scary for the human parents. I wonder if they ever got their original child back. Scary for them? What about you? Well, I can see why it happened, so it doesn't bother me. If they hadn't thrown me in the river, I would have never met my godmother. That's messed up, you know that? Looking back, it was pretty messed up. He doesn't remember much of the event, but after saying it aloud, the truth was spread very plainly. Her original parents had attempted to murder her. Or were the fairies her original parents? There was a feeling of being submerged in water for a long time before Catriona had come by and rescued her. For a while, Kate remembered being afraid to speak to her, but when she did, Catriona only smiled. A changeling. This whole time I thought you were human. Nugget eyes. Nugget eyes. Actually, it explains a lot. Rufus stares at Key intensely, as if he's trying to solve a puzzle. Say, I don't mean to sound insensitive, but if you're a changeling, then whose face are you wearing? The question is enough to make Key stop mid-sip out of confusion. Mine? But what's it based on? This is the face I was born with. How can you be so sure? What if it changed between the fairies passing you on to your human parents? Or when your mom picked you up? I don't know. I just know it's mine, and I haven't really changed it. I might decide to have longer or shorter hair some days, but I like the way I look. Some confidence you got there. Shape-shifting is really dangerous. My regulars need to recognize me, and I also need to recognize myself. I try to avoid major changes. I never thought of that from that angle. You're telling me you basically have a superpower you never use? Maybe I'll use it when I actually need it. He walks back over to the book shelf and skims over the numerous books. Rufus accompanies her and points to a couple of leather-bound books before picking one with a steel binding. It's an biography of something called the Crimean War from the perspective of a soldier. This one looks neat. Is that the one you want? Yeah, and once I memorize some more plant jargon, I'll try out one of your childhood books. You don't have to force yourself to read it. It looks like something you enjoy, so why not? With that, the two start to clean up the plates in the living room. Once all the dishes have been put away and the books in their proper places, Rufus makes for the doorway. Hey Key, before I go, how do I look? Key tries not to let the surprise show on her face. That's the hat Michael was wearing just a few days ago. Enthusiastic or... I'll go with the second one. You look great. What's with that face you're making? If it's bad, you should say it to my face. Rufus, that used to belong to a human. Heh, yeah, only a human would make something this tacky. He stayed at my cottage 2 days ago. Oh, is he asking for the hat back? No, Clapcut threatened him, so I don't think he's coming back anytime soon. I just haven't seen another human in years. I wonder why they stopped coming to Rossenward. It didn't seem that long ago that I'd see one fishing in the river or picking flowers. Yeah, I wonder why. It's probably for the better. I know a couple satyrs in my tribe who like to go overboard with pranks. Humans make good targets because they're so gullible. Wait, is that why they keep trying to convince me fairy butter is actually butter? And that goblin holes are Mother Nature's bathrooms? Does your tribe know I'm not human? The silence is deafening. Rufus is trying extremely hard to keep a straight face. I'll be sure to give them a stern talking to. Alright, get out of here, you hooligan. I'm going. He pushes the satyr out of the doorway as he leaps away with a big grin plastered across his face. Key briefly dusts off her hands. She needed to make preparations for a guest in an hour and had no time to waste. It's been a long day. After Rufus left, Key spent the next hours consulting a treant on their shedding bark, a goblin with a broken leg, and fixing a sign that had been knocked over from the recent storm. He turns over a sign on her cottage porch to show that her services are now closed and makes preparations for bed. As she settles in, she looks over at the empty bed beside her. Once Catriona had gotten older, Key would often help her into bed, and she was left with most of the housework as she saw her mother slowly wither away. The final months were the hardest, and Key wondered if someone would be by her side when she became old and gray. However, it was possible that she might outlive those around her instead. How many years did changelings have anyway? She had been aging like a human for 1 or 2 decades, but as time passed, Key's features seemed to stop changing. Maybe Michael was right. Is there something more out there? If only there was some way to learn more about changelings. Right as Key feels herself drifting to sleep, she's suddenly roused by a violent knocking at the door. Who is it at this hour? Reluctantly, Key peels herself from her bed and slips into some loafers. The knocking is vigorous and unending. Key prays that Klafka hadn't decided to go on a late-night hunting trip and sprained her ankle. Key opens the door. We're meeting the third one now. And stares face-to-face with the most beautiful person she has ever seen. The stranger's hand stops mid-strike and they have a sheepish expression on their face. Hello? Wait a second, who are you? Is this even the right place? The stranger pulls a map from their purse and looks at it. Erratic and desperate. I think that should be my question. Key feels tired just watching them fumble about with their long, pointy ears waving around. To Key's knowledge, there weren't any elves living in Rossenward. Forget this. Defeated, the elf puts away their map and finally looks at Key. Do you by chance know anybody named Catriona Nalon? Catriona was my godmother. Unfortunately, she passed away years ago. Years ago? All color drains from the elf's face, and they look so pale, Key thinks they might pass out. If it's an apothecary you seek, I've since taken over her trade. I think you should sit down, and then you can explain to me what's going on. Key supports the stranger's body as she walks them to the closest chair. Key offers them some water, to which they heartily drink, and their face finally regains some composure. My name is Nimriel Maze I knew your mother a long time ago, but I should have known better than to place my health in the hands of a short-lived being. I had no idea she had a child, much less passed away. So they knew Catriona before I was even born. I have a rare elven disease that runs in my family. Every family member I knew who had it died, so I spent a long time trying to find someone with the cure. Catriona was the only one who figured out what was wrong with me, and I thought that was going to be the end of it. Recently, I found out I relapsed. I don't suppose any of this rings a bell? Catriona never mentioned anything like this even once. He didn't even know that Catriona saw elven patients. That sounds awful. I'm afraid Catriona never spoke to me about this. Is there a recipe for the medicine, maybe in a book or diary she left behind? Do you know what it's called? No? Do you remember what it tasted like, the color of the medicine, the dosage? Nimril looks away and begins to regret their life choices. No, no, and no. This happened over 50 years ago. I can't remember something that long ago. He had read every book in the cottage at least a dozen times over. At no point was there any mention of an elven disease. Many of Catriona's personal diaries spoke of Rossenward's unique wildlife and biome, but never about anything outside the forest. The best he can do is connect the right herbs to Nimril's symptoms, but she's sure it would solve their underlying problem. Nimril gets up and walks over to Key's medicine cabinet and opens it without warning. Key quickly walks over to stop them. Can't I just try each of these until I get the right one? Are they stupid? Key shuts the cabinet. No, there might be unexpected side effects which could end your life sooner. I'm sorry Catriona never told me the cure, and without a proper assessment of your symptoms, it's nearly impossible to figure out what it might be. I was afraid you were gonna say that. Look, don't even bother. It'll probably be faster for me to find a different doctor. Thanks for the water and stuff. He watches Nimril open the door, and just as quickly as they came, they left. 12 hours later. I changed my mind. Help me, please. I'm going to die. I've come this far and I can't go back. I like the music. He is roused awake once more and quickly opens the door. Nimril is on the ground. There's basically claw marks on the door. Oh, that poor door. Please stop screaming. You've got to help me. I'm too young to die. In the background, a fairy passes by the cottage with their young. The commotion startles them, and the fairy ushers their young and fast flutters away. Relax, I never said I wasn't going to help you. What's wrong with you? I tried to find my way home last night, but I got lost again. I got lost trying to get here too. It's too late for me. I'm running out of time as we speak. No, you're not. You have time, Nimril. I understand that you're scared right now, but in order for me to help you, you have to slow down. It's hard to watch someone grovel and cry on the ground, and it's the first time such a thing had happened to Key. She bends down and reaches a hand out to Nimril. As they look up with a sniffle, they grab Key's hand and rise to their feet in an attempt to soothe Nimril. Key pats her arm. Thanks. Just Nim is fine. It's Key. You can call me Key. If Catriona was able to find a treatment for you, then I should as well. There's not a single thing she didn't teach me about medicine or her style of medicating patients. Okay, but what happens when you die? I never thought that this was something I had to worry about until it actually happened. I can always write it down, and you can pass it on to the next doctor. That's assuming they know where to find the ingredients and how to prepare it. If it's a specific plant or formula, then you'll die with this knowledge. Why are all the best doctors short-lived races? Short-lived? Are you talking about humans? Humans, gnomes, goblins, it doesn't matter. What about changelings? Huh? Rufus suddenly pokes his head over Key's doorframe. Am I, interrupting something here? Yeah, I'm dying. Dang, I'm sorry. I just need to get a quick fix. Key's my drug dealer. What the heck? Is this an addict? Please don't listen to him. Key lets out a sigh and subconsciously tugs at her earlobe. Let me get the medication for him first, and then we can talk about what to do next, okay, Nim? Inside the medicine cabinet are jars and vials of varying sizes. They're all filled with dried herbs, either crushed to a fine powder or in bite-sized chunks. Key grabs one of the larger jars, labeled feverfew, and places it on the counter where she prepares the cloth and starts to measure and shovel the feverfew onto it with a tablespoon. Nimril discreetly peers over the doorframe and notices a row of white flowers with leafy stems and bundles near the window. There are several buckets with dried versions of presumably the same plant. The rest of the cottage is in pristine condition. Nim's memory is hazy, but it's almost as though Catriona never died. Everything is exactly the same. Key opens the drawer below her for tweezers and picks out all the little imperfections muddled in the herbs. Once satisfied, she ties up the cloth and heads back to Rufus and Nim. Rufus happily takes the drug in his hands. You two be nice. You really are talented with this herb stuff. It makes me feel better about relying on an uncertified backwoods doctor. Yeah, Key is the best uncertified doctor I know. I'm the only doctor you know. Nimriel, right? Rufus holds a hand out to which Nim shakes. Nimriel, musing. But you can just call me Nim. I'm Rufus. I don't have a last name, but wow, Moonlight, what a pretty name. Thanks, my parents thought of it themselves. Wait, how do you know what my name means? Salkankawe Elvish? I can speak Elvish. Jinkarva Varthro Melentu Genlornai Kawe Elvish? How do you know how to speak Elvish? Sal Inamar Thro Melentu Alni. It's not very good, I only know a little. Nah, it's almost better than Telquit. No, it's almost better than mine. This is the first time Key has ever heard Elvish. The way the words are pronounced is elegant and high tempo. Key attempts to decipher what they're saying, but is only able to pick apart one or two words. Sharti selm from yith quisir kal tequit nimru il. Where I'm from, people call me Nimru il. Why? Because Selm tells sickest, because I'm the sickest. Oh god. Terrible jokes. Selm terminal ils. I'm terminally ill. Oh. It sounds like Nimriel is trying to teach Rufus how to pronounce their name correctly, but Key isn't sure. She didn't want to interrupt their bonding moment, but there were more pressing matters at hand. Nim, in the next few days, I'm going to need to talk to you about this disease you have. Oh, that's right. I think I better head out. I'll leave you to your work, Ambrias. See ya, Nim. With the feverfew in hand, Rufus waltzes away. Nim and Key wave him goodbye before getting back to their conversation. What were we even talking about before? I wanted to ask them about the lifespan of changelings, but it seems like a bad time right now. Is there anything you need up front before the consultation? I should have brought that up sooner, considering you're offering to save my life. Money, labor, my left kidney, I'll give you anything. Key has never asked much from any of her clients. She accepted almost anything if the client was genuine with their exchange. It's the thought that counts, and that was always subjective. However, this time Key had something in mind. I want books. What kind of books? Informational ones. Okay, what subjects? Maybe about different countries and people? But I also want to know about different cultures. Oh, ones with recipes too. Okay, kiddo, how about I just take you to a library when this is all over? A library? Key has never been to a library before. Frankly, she had believed the cottage housed the only books she would ever need. Up until this point, it felt like everything Key ever needed could be found within Rossenward. But this time is different. I think I would like that. Is that it? I kind of feel like I'm committing a crime. Where I'm from, this would normally be like a $50,000 operation. Are you sure you don't want my left kidney? I don't want any of your organs. Whatever you say, Doc. Then I guess I'll be living in Rossenward for the time being. I don't suppose you know where the nearest inn is? Rossenward doesn't have any inns. Embassies? Nope. Taverns? No. Brothels? No. I don't suppose you have room for one more in that cottage of yours? Okay, you're gonna have to work for that one. Yes, ma'am. I'll do whatever you say. I promise you won't even notice I'm here. Your track record has been great so far. Key brings a hand to her face and pinches the bridge of her nose. Normally this would be where Key humbly agrees, but Nim could be here an indefinite amount of time, and she didn't know if that was something she wanted to deal with. Having a temporary housemate might be a small price to pay in exchange for knowledge. And they knew Catriona. Begrudgingly, Key moves aside to let the taller elf in. If you're going to be staying here, I need to set some rules first. Starting from that day, Rossenward gained a new resident, and Key, a roommate. It was also the beginning of a long journey to find the cure for Nim's disease. Act 2. What are you doing with all of those? Is that why you were gone yesterday? There are several stacks of square fabric patterns organized on the coffee table in an array of colors. However, the greens are dominant because that's Catriona's favorite color. Oh, flashback to the past. Interesting. Catriona herself is bent over the table, picking apart the different pieces. A few strands of gray hair stray from her bun as she adjusts her reading glasses. I'm making a block quilt. Catriona holds up 2 of the blocks. In her left hand is a yellow block with adorable little bees smiling. The other has bright orange and red poppies that seem to jump off the block. Do you prefer bees or wildflowers? Wildflowers. Although bees are very cute too. Catriona's eyes squint as she smiles. They look beautiful, don't they? Wildflowers it is. A sewing machine manifests on the table. Catriona gets right to work on the block quilt. It looks nice. I'm guessing this is for the stuffing? Key's hand lingers over a bag of fluff. Yes, I'm hoping to introduce this to the goblins. They go absolutely ballistic when they find an abandoned cloak. Imagine their reaction to something homemade. Are you going to teach them how to quilt? Darling, I would, but sewing machines are simply not made for goblins. Catriona smiles softly, even as she's working on the quilt. Key sits against the sofa with her favorite mug and sips. She could have sworn she brewed chamomile, but the tea tastes like lavender. There was this elf yesterday. They said they knew you. That seems unlikely. I thought so too, but it didn't look like they were lying. You saved their life. Prolonged. That's all that medicine is, really. You can only prolong life for so long. They weren't supposed to die. I think it's a good thing. Okay. If Catriona's dead, how are we talking to her? We having a dream or something? If they weren't supposed to die, I think it's a good thing. Yes, well, no one wants to die sooner than they have to, I suppose. Ouch. Brad seeps into the cream-colored quilt Catriona is working on. She sucks on the injured finger. Must be my age. Don't say that, it's an old sewing machine. Catriona stands up and waves her hand gently. That makes the 2 of us. I'm going out to get a better look at this. He immediately gets up and follows. Don't go, we have bandages. Feels like a dream. Key's godmother turns to look at her. It's a straight-on gaze, and Key halts immediately. Catriona rests a hand on the apothecary's curly head of hair. What are you so worried about? It's only a little blood. Sometimes everyday things are dangerous, but we can't get anywhere in life simply expecting to get hurt. We need to do what we love anyway. Good point. I wish you would stay here. Oh yeah, we're having a dream, aren't we? Catriona is walking away towards the front door. Key tries to catch up to her, but the space between the living room and front porch stretches impossibly. Stop. You can't be afraid of what's to come. I raised you to be made of stronger steel than that. That was something Catriona used to say all the time. The front door creaks open, so a ray of light blinds Key. Catriona's features rapidly age before her. Don't cry, I hate seeing you cry. Key wakes up. Key whips her head over to the source of the snoring. It's just Nim. I wish I would stop getting these dreams. Key lies still in her bed for a couple of minutes, eyes glued to the ceiling, but any hope of restful sleep was lost. She slips into her loafers and quietly leaves the bedroom. Key could hear the morning birds chirping, so it's not nearly as early as she expects. There's only a single photo of Catriona and Key in the cottage. It sits by the rotary phone and still looks new because Key never let it collect dust. Key remembers the day as though it were yesterday. It was a rare moment where they had a guest over, and it was the first time Key saw Catriona so nervous. The whole day was spent storing away odd trinkets and hiding any trace of the unordinary. Then everything had to be moved from the photography setup. A man stood behind the camera. What looked like 2 enormous lamps shined down, and Catriona diligently worked back and forth with the man. He felt like an ornament in the background. She was silent, adjusted, and moved ever so slightly until eventually it was over. A week later, the frame and photos were sent over. It was tedious, it didn't feel important, but now Key wishes they'd taken more pictures together. And that's usually how it goes. With a sigh, Key sets down the photo. There's nothing to do this early. But she starts cleaning up the living room anyway. Looking at her cluttered living room, Key had to admit that even goblins were tidier than Nim. Nim's belongings were still strewn haphazardly over the couch from the day before. Do we want to be nosy, or do we not want to be nosy? I'll be nosy. Nim's knapsack is flopped on its side. The contents exposed. It's quite nearly impossible for Key to not pick up the silver badge embellished with the coat of arms. The emblem depicts a furious-looking hawk guarding a shield. Strange words line the bottom, which Key can only assume is Elvish. Key puts the badge away and picks up a book that had fallen near the knapsack. Nim reads books. I'll just read the summary. However, the book is entirely composed of pictures. From what little Key can understand, the story takes place in a school setting. Although plain-looking, the main protagonist is deeply embroiled in a love affair with all of the other characters. This seems hardly realistic. For some reason, the story is read from right to left instead of left to right. Oh, Nim reads manga. Maybe it's an elven thing? Key goes to return the book. Oh, it's any kind. Oh, that could be any series, though. There's so many. Yeah, it's a harem manga, that's for sure. Key goes to return the book in Nim's knapsack, but there's not enough room due to all the trash and wrappers. She's sure Nim wouldn't mind if she helped them tidy up a bit. Key grabs a fistful of the wrappers and pulls them out, along with a frilly pink bra hooked on it. Hurriedly, Key tries to put the bra back in Nim's knapsack, but it keeps springing out. In the apothecary's panic, she hardly notices as the front door swings open. Hey, Key! There are rabbits eating your plants outside! Nim strolls out of the bedroom yawning with their arms outstretched. Good morning, fellow cohort. What's shaking? Back breaking, bones aching. Is that my bra? Who's that? Whoa, a goblin. They're even smaller in person. The hell is that supposed to mean? You must be one of Key's patients. I'm her new roommate. Roommate? What? Since when? My phone's charged. And why does Key have your bra? Nim turns to Key as if just remembering that she is holding the bra. Nim's brows knit in concern, and they speak in a quiet voice. Don't tell anyone I use a push-up bra. I was cleaning up and it was in the way of me picking up trash? Oh, so it fell out. Yeah, anyways. Klafka, this is Nimriel. They visited me yesterday about an illness they had and will be staying in the cottage for the time being. Okay. Yep, beat sleeping on the cold, hard forest floor. I kind of owe Key my life. I can see it now. Every night will be like a slumber party. Klafka crosses her arms and looks Nim up and down in silent judgment. If you're patient, I guess it's fine. Why are you looking at me like that? I'm not a hobo. What kind of disease do you even have for you to stay here so long? If I knew, I wouldn't be here. Is it cancer? Ooh, burp. Elf. Cancer? If it was elf cancer, I think I would know. That's not true. I knew someone who had cancer, but by the time they found out, it was already too late. Okay, but I've gone to a real doctor about this. He might find something. Can you please stop? I don't have cancer. Key interrupts Klafka's interrogation. Speaking of Nim's disease, I should probably start their consultation soon. In another hour or so, my regulars will start coming in. Klafka looks hesitant to leave, but Key would have to explain the circumstances later. Thank you, Key. Well, for what's worth, it was nice meeting you, Draft Car. It's Klafka. How the hell did you get Draft Car from that? I'm not the best with names, alright? Key reaches for the door. Klafka, I'll talk to you later. You better. Key settles into the rocking chair with a notepad and pencil as Nim fiddles with the tea bag steeping in their chamomile. Key had to admit, despite all the fuss Nim kicked up in the beginning, they settled into the cottage quite easily. Nim swore up and down that they could be trusted, and so far they hadn't incurred any strikes, but it had only been a day. Nim eagerly brings the tea up to their mouth. Ouch, hot. Be careful. Imagine it's the tea that kills me and not my fatal illness. How ironic would that be? I want you to know this consultation is for your physical problems, but I can't help you mentally. Ouch. Let's start with the obvious. Can you describe what you've been experiencing? Well, for starters, I'm fatigued all the time. I get tired way more easily than I used to. Eating and sleeping doesn't help much either. Fatigue. I brushed it off at first, like maybe it was having an off week, but it's gotten worse and worse over time. My hair's been falling out and I've been really moody lately. I think my hormones are all out of whack. You said this illness was genetic. Did this happen to your family members too? Yeah, my uncle and sister had it too. What scares me the most is they would get the worst dizzy spells and then start fainting out of nowhere. After that, it wasn't long before they passed away. I've been getting that too. Even their sister passed away? I don't know how Nim stays sane having to deal with that. I can't even handle losing one person. I'm sorry for your loss. I never know what to say when people say sorry. I'm sorry. Stop that! Look, don't worry about me. Just keep your eyes on the prize, dog. He laughed softly. Right. I wonder what it is about these dizzy spells that caused this. Feel like, or when did they start? Maybe when did they start? That's a good one. It happened last week, but it was a big red flag to me. It's actually why I started looking for Catriona again. I see. I thought that if I was cured once, it'd just go away. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a curse. Other than being completely vague, he has a hard time seeing how Nim's disease could lead to such a sudden and untimely death. Hormonal deficiencies point towards a slow end, but the dizzy spells stand out to the apothecary. Hey, I've been thinking this for a while now, but after all these years, it's like nothing's changed. He looks up from their note-taking. What do you mean? I feel like I'm experiencing deja vu, like I'm remembering everything about this place. Catriona was sitting right there in that rocking chair. Nothing's changed about the cottage. I think she even had the same habit of tugging her ear. Everything's the same. He didn't even realize she had been tugging on her ear. Are you sure you guys aren't blood related? How come you remember this and not the medicine? I don't know, medicine names are complicated. Who even remembers that stuff? That's a good point. I do. Okay, Key, we get it. You're a doctor. Well, either way, it's not possible. Catriona and I are related. It's not possible Catriona and I are related because I'm not human. I'm a changeling. Oh. Oh. No wonder you look so young. You know what they are? I've heard of changelings, but I've never met one in person. Or maybe I did. Changelings don't just publicly announce this sort of thing. Mentioning it even once defeats the whole point of being a changeling. Lying and shape-shifting is kind of what they're known for. Lying? Wait, can you shape-shift into me right now? I'm not very good at shape-shifting. It would probably look really bad. Nim gives a disappointed sigh. I forgot you're adopted. Nim, I did have a question I meant to ask. How many years do changelings have? Are they short-lived? Actually, I don't care if it looks bad, really. Nim, how long can changelings live for? I think they should be like elves. If you're lucky, you might live to see your 500th birthday. 500? Nim looks like he is if they just told her she won the lottery, but all the apothecary can feel is dread. Key slowly runs her hand through her hair. She's not thinking. She didn't know what to think. We're getting off topic. Let's focus on the task at hand. So that's the note of the shape-shifting? Nim, task at hand. So that's Nim, task at hand. Instead of Key looks at her notes, she's doing a job here. She's supposed to be helping Nim. The words on the page seem suddenly hard to read, but the apothecary attempts to refocus. Fatigue, brittle hair, moodiness, fainting is a vague combination of symptoms, but the way Nim describes it is strange. Why is it so gradual? I think I have a better idea of what I'm looking for. I'm just going to run some physical tests now. Nim peers over at Key as she heads to the kitchen. Cabinets fly open and Key rummages through numerous jars and bottles before coming to a halt. She holds up a black jar. The inside squirms. What have you got there, Key? I need to draw your blood. Oh, it leeches. Key opens the door opens the jar and picks out a slippery black leech. She approaches Nim. Nim continues to regret their life choices. Give me your arm. Oh no, you're not. What is that? Nim attempts to scramble off the couch, but Key grabs her arm. She pushes her sleeves back, readying the leech with her other hand. Just relax. Is that it? Is that the last test? There's a box of medical supplies and equipment on the table. Key removes the stethoscope from Nim's chest and goes to scribble a few final notes on her pad. Yes, I'm confident that nothing I have can cure you. Do you want to kill me faster? Can you say that more gently? Well, nothing on hand. There's a herb that supplements hormonal deficiencies and is said to alleviate headaches. Blackwood thistle. Its parts can be extracted to make a potent drug, but it's currently out of season. I can't think of anything else that could be the cure. Normally I would have saved some for the spring, but I'm not the only one who harvests it. There's a goblin who likes to hoard this particular plant every year, and he's never been keen on sharing. A goblin? I'll fight him. No. I can make it look like an accident. Goblins are like, what, 2 feet tall? 1 kick is all it takes. No. A cheerful voice from outside interrupts Nim and Key's discussion. Yoo-hoo, Key, are you open? The voice is familiar, and Key recognizes it as the pixie mother. She excuses herself from Nim and leaves to open the door. I'm sorry, do you have a guest over? I can come back another time. No, we were just finishing up. What did you need? I need to ask you something super important, life-changing even. Life-changing? He glances at Nim before ushering them over. Nim, I think this concludes our consultation. I need to help the client, but even after my regulars will probably start stopping by. In the meantime, I was thinking you could familiarize yourself with Rossenward. It might help to get to know the area a bit. You'd kick out a sick person? I'm kidding. I could use some fresh air anyway. Nim quickly grabs for their knapsack and accompanies Key back to the front door. Why, hello. You must be new to Rossenward. I'm Deirdre. I'm Nimril, but you can call me Nim. The pixie mother excitedly flies over to Key's side, speaking in a hushed tone. Who is this? They look just like a model. Could it be you had a partner I didn't know about? Key's eyes widen and she starts swatting Deirdre away. I love the little pixie. She's so cute. What did you need? Alright, I'll cut to the chase. The spring festival is coming up and the fairies and I are planning something big. It'll be held right at the heart of Rossenward, where all the fairy flowers are blooming. There's more drinks, more games, and we want everyone to be there. Will you be coming or not? The fairies have been working hard taking care of the flowers for the spring festival. It's especially important because they're used as fairy beds, the place where their young are born and raised. Despite being so reserved, Key went to the spring festival every year. Most of the forest residents kept to themselves, but the festival brought Rossenward together. It wasn't a question of whether Key would be at the spring festival or not, but it was one of those events that was family-friendly in the daytime and got more risque when the sun set. Alrighty. Just a quick note, as you can see, different recording session. What happened last time is a notification popped up on my computer and it absolutely froze my recording for me, so we are carrying on with the cottage story. This will be probably in the same video as the last one. I'm just making a note that happened. Alright, you didn't miss much, though. I forgot to change the screen again. Don't worry, you guys won't see any of that. So, what do I usually do at the spring festival? Probably I don't like to yeah, I don't like to stay late. That's just me. I actually don't like staying late for events. I like to sleep. Not a party person, huh? Well, you'll be the first to get a taste of the sweets that'll be at the potluck. As if that wasn't my plan all along. You know, my husband and I are celebrating our anniversary at the spring festival. We actually met in one of these events. Okay, it's working good. He looks after the kids at home, and I'm always out and about. He's quiet, but he always shows he cares in his own way. Honestly, you remind me of him. I guess opposites do attract. What about you, Key? Is there anyone you like? This year, we're going to have a big fairy ring around the rhododendron tree. Anyone who dances in the ring will have good fortune bestowed upon them. And it's said, if you dance with your special someone, love might just bloom. Just checking the time. Come on. Who could melt the cold heart of the apothecary? I promise I'll only keep it between the two of us. Did I leave that open again? I did. Don't worry, I will cut that. Okay. Who could melt the cold heart of the apothecary? I promise I'll only keep it between the two of us. Cold heart? Do I really come off that way? Well, someone I like. Okay, I started off with the satyr the other night before I realized it froze on me. There's this satyr I know. He's actually one of my regulars. Oh, a satyr? Rossenward's very own tribe? Deirdre brings a hand over her mouth as she lets out a little gasp. Key has a feeling that the pixie absolutely relished in the gossip. Who is it? Is it Didas? Ignatz Fern? Who are those people? I'm not saying. Fine, keep your secrets. Can I at least get a hint? Well, I don't know about smart, but he is cute. He gets excited about things that don't seem important. One time he ran all the way to my cottage to show me a piece of bark shaped like a face. And he wouldn't stop talking about how the salmon in the river brook were spawning. It's endearing how happy he gets over something most people wouldn't even notice. Wow, kind and smart. I'll have to keep my eyes peeled for this mysterious satyr. Does anyone else come to mind? I like how you can actually select for all three for this question. There's this goblin. And she's actually a close friend of mine. I've known her ever since we were little. Oh, so you were childhood friends. How sweet. I don't know if I would have called her my friend when I was younger. What I like best about her is that she's reliable. I can't count the times she's helped me out. Once I came home from a foraging trip and forgot to lock the door. There was someone inside who was armed and looking for anything that was valuable. When I told Klafka, she didn't even think twice before storming in. She beat him up and threatened to kill him. But I could tell she was going easy on him. Klafka might seem tough on the outside, but she's never cruel. Oh, I see how it is. You're into bad girls with a soft side. Does anyone else come to mind? So, I met this elf. You actually saw them just now. Aha, Nim was it? They were quite charming. Come on, explain yourself. When did you two meet? Keith feels suddenly sheepish. So much for never falling in love with a patient. The day before yesterday. Love at first sight, huh? It's complicated. What I like best about them is that... I'll go lively. They're lively. They introduced themselves to me because they needed medical care. Their disease isn't easy to cure, but it's obvious they want to live life to the fullest. They came all this way to Rossenward knowing the risks, and I think that takes a lot of courage. It's kind of impressive for someone to laugh in the face of certain doom. This is just adorable. You know I'm rooting for you, sweetie. Oh, I love Deidre so much. I can't believe you like so many people. You must have a lot of love to give. There's a lot of people in the world. What's the time? I better hurry home. I'm sure my husband must be worried. I promised we'd finally do some baking together with the kids. I'll leave you to it then. Thank you for dropping by. Aw, Key, it was my pleasure. I feel like I saw a side of you I don't normally see. Really? Yeah, I'm wondering who you'll dance with at the spring festival. You can't exactly dance with all the people you like. That's assuming any of them agree to it. Oh, I can see it now. They'll be fighting over you like the nymphs fight over human travelers. Oh, stop. I might have to kick you out now. After Deirdre leaves, the rest of the day passes with relative ease as Key consults with the rest of her regulars. She makes lunch for two, cream of mushroom soup with sourdough bread, but Nim is nowhere to be found. It isn't until the sky is orange and the soup is cold that Nim saunters back with a flower crown and a half-empty drink in hand. Even without asking, Key could tell they met with the satyrs. They lean over Key, almost dropping the crude wooden cup. I feel kind of faint. Is this a regular Tuesday for you? It's not every day I have a drink with satyrs in a magical forest, so no. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. Key attempts to walk Nim back to bed, but they nearly slip out of her grip like cooked spaghetti. Maybe I should have been watching out for you. Sorry. Dude, stop apologizing. I don't care. Nim slurs the words as they bring a hand to their head in visible unease. Carrying Nim to bed. Let's go. Key suddenly hoists Nim in both arms, bridal style. What? You shouldn't walk in this state. Key expects some kind of drunken retort from the elf, but they simply settle in her arms until they reach the bed. I can't remember the last time someone carried me like this. Is that good or bad? I've got you. You're in good hands. When I get better, I'll return the favor. I'll pick you up with one arm. I'll throw you like a log. You're drunk. Nim isn't in a talkative mood, but Key leaves the leftover lunch for them. It's warm after being reheated in a pot. The blanket is soft, and Nim finds themselves sinking into the warmth of the bed. From the living room, they can hear Key settling themselves onto the rocking chair. The fire crackles. Nim had mulled over how nothing changed in the cottage, but admittedly there's a warmth that wasn't there before. Exhaustion gnaws at Nim's consciousness, but they find it difficult to sleep. They pull up the quilted blanket, which is patterned with bright red poppies, and try anyway. The blanket that we picked in the dream. Hey, Amy here. Oh. Okay, so we finished the demo. Oh, I didn't have that much left to go. That's good, though. If you enjoyed the story so far, full game 15 chapters, whereas the demo has 5. Or any bad endings. Going onwards, you'll be given flirting options depending on who you romance, such as in the last encounter with Nim. These ones are situational, so read the air. Other choices matter too, but choose... That's my alarm for drink something. I have the alarm set on the weekdays every 2 hours, reminding me to drink. Other choices matter too, but choose what you would do and try not to think too hard about them. Just because an option sounds mean or rude doesn't mean it's wrong. It's still in development, but if you like it, just do. Oh, they have a Tumblr? Aw, that was cute. I actually really enjoyed that. It's nuts, too, that that's one person doing it. Which is insane to think about. Alright, with that done, I hope you guys enjoyed. And I will see you guys all next time for another game. See ya!